Hey, Karli, guess what time it is?
Is it time for senior night? Graduation? Time to clean out the desk for summer break?
Not quite, but just as exciting. It's time to register for the annual AP Coordinator Back to School Workshop.
Yes, that too. Workshops start in early July and registration is now open. Sign up for your preferred date and time.
The workshop is perfect for all AP coordinators, new and experienced. It features a review of important updates, resources, and deadlines for the upcoming school year. There are opportunities to ask questions, collaborate with experienced peers, hear about challenges, best practices, and stories of success.
The workshops are online over Zoom. They are free of charge and we can't wait to see you there.
Register now before this school year ends. The Back to School Workshop for AP coordinators is a sure way to get next school year off to a start that is good as gold. Coordinated, episode 281, Spotlight, Jessica in Kansas. Greetings, AP coordinators. Derek Cometa here, Senior Director, AP Coordinator Experience for the AP program and former AP Coordinator. Today, we are visiting the state of Kansas and specifically St. James Academy. It's Monday, June 23rd, 2025. And for your enjoyment this summer break, here is our own Karli Suge visiting with AP Coordinator Jessica Rolston. Click your heels 3 times. The magic is all right here. It's time to get coordinated.
Good morning, Jessica. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Good morning, Karli. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So, on Coordinated this summer, I have the pleasure of speaking with different AP coordinators across the country to spotlight their programs and ask them to share a little about themselves. So, first of all, welcome. And second, can I ask you, Jessica, to introduce yourself and your school?
Absolutely. My name is Jessica Rolston. I am Director of Assessment at St. James Academy in Lenexa, Kansas. This summer starts my 10th year at St. James and my 26th year in education overall.
Wow. So you're from Kansas. I have never been to Kansas before. So I'm so happy to be virtually traveling there with you today. Have you lived in Kansas your whole life?
Yes, I live in a suburb of Kansas City. So for those who are familiar with Kansas City, there's a Kansas and Missouri side. So I've always lived on the Kansas side. Grew up in Kansas City, Kansas, and now I'm just down the street in another suburb, Lenexa. So
That's so cool. So you've always lived in Kansas. Have you always known you wanted to be an educator? Where did that kind of passion come from?
yes, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. When I was a kid, my sister and I would play school a lot. I was the teacher, she was the student.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that playing school did not indicate my future career because one week of doing homework one summer and my student quit. So, um, but no, in high school, I went to a Future Teachers Academy at my alma mater, Emporia State University. And through that experience, I gained a huge passion for teaching kids and helping them learn and just being the best humans that they can be.
I love that. And I'm sure your sister turned out okay. And now you have all of these students that you've educated as well. So that's amazing. Now, this is the coordinated podcast, so I'm going to turn a little bit towards AP. How did you become the AP coordinator at St. James Academy?
Well, my journey is a little bit different than most. I actually am an elementary teacher by trade. I taught elementary school for 7 years and then got a master's in educational administration and became an instructional coach and then an assistant principal role at the elementary schools and applied for an assistant principal job at St. James Academy, where one of my roles as assistant principal was to assist the AP coordinator. So that was many years ago, 10 years ago. And my first activity was going to one of the live back to school events that the AP coordinator experience used to do. So, but as that current coordinator, she decided to go back and start teaching some AP courses. I slid over into the main coordinator role, and I've been doing it ever since.
Well, there you go. I mean, that seems like such a nice transition to be able to have seen someone else be the coordinator first before you have to take it on. So, I mean, we're glad you're here. We're glad you took it on. Okay, so I know you do lots and lots of things at your school besides being the AP coordinator. So what do you do, Jessica, at your school besides being the AP coordinator?
Well, as director of assessment, I deal with all things assessment. As other AP coordinators know, you are doing things all year long, getting ready for AP, but we are an ACT school. So we give the pre-ACT to our freshmen and sophomores and practice ACT to juniors. We give statewide ACT in the spring. Like many other states, we have state assessments in the spring. Our school has students that come from 36 different middle schools and grade schools. Wow. And so we don't always have information from those kids. So we give them the high school placement test to kind of see what courses to recommend them for high school. It's a lot different working with 8th graders than it is working with high schoolers. But and then on my day-to-day, we have a testing center for students with academic accommodations. So I organize and I staff and run the testing center.
Awesome. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of logistical things with testing a lot. So when we think back of this last AP administration just a few weeks ago, what is one thing that you might have thought or that many people might have thought would be easy, but it really is not?
That is such a great question, Karli. One thing that somebody might think is easy is finding the proctors to be able to either be a room monitor or proctor these assessments. In my case in particular, our program has grown almost double in the last 2 to 3 years. When we were in 2023, we were giving 350 assessments, and this last year, I gave 750. So when we were, it's just a big difference in that. When we were smaller, I was proctoring a lot, or I had a retired principal that helps me a lot, and she was proctoring for my bigger exams. Now that most of my exams are 100 to 125, it's a lot. And trying to find counselors or teachers that are not needed elsewhere and fit all of the requirements of eligibility has become kind of a challenge. And so I'm already recruiting people for next year and starting to think outside the box of how I can make that easier without putting a burden on some of my current staff in the building.
I think that that's a fantastic thing to start forward thinking about as much as you can. You know, that's one of the things that we don't necessarily think of at the top of our mind when we think of AP testing, but it is something that affects every exam. So it's something that we should be thinking about. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Now, Jessica, I'm going to ask you the exact opposite question. What is one thing that many might think is complicated about the AP testing administration, but really isn't?
One thing that many might think is complicated, but it just isn't for me, is the actual exam administration. I start working on logistics for exam admin in January, and that seems so early, but there are so many little details that go into everything, and but once the exam administration happens, I love using analogies. So my analogy is like running a marathon. So you train and you train and you train, and the hard work comes in the training. So when it comes for the day of your event, that is where you can kind of sit back and see all the hard work that you've put into it and see it come to fruition. And honestly, when it comes to Thursday and Friday of exam administration on that second week, we are just an automated mode where we are just going through the motions because we've done so many things and we've practiced for so long. So what other people see is like the big weeks, and I feel it's the planning stages, the hard parts early on.
I love that perspective. Like once you give your first exam, you're that much closer to your last exam. It's kind of once you start setting course, you're just going. You're just going. So I appreciate that because sometimes we can get bogged down in all the little things, but once it starts, it goes and it goes and it goes. So thank you, Jessica. So I know that some of us are on summer. I'm hoping that we're all enjoying things that we like to do. So I'm going to shift a little bit and ask you some fun questions. And my first fun question is, Jessica, what is your favorite movie?
Well, my family are huge Disney fans. And so my favorite movie since I was a young girl is Beauty and the Beast. That is the animated version. That's my favorite movie. And I think I choose that one because I relate with Belle. She loves books and she loves to read. I love books and love to read. She's a little awkward and an introvert. I can be a little awkward and introverted at times. But I also love the story of the theme that it's about the person on the inside, not what you see on the outside, and seeing the good in everyone. And so I've always just loved that story.
I love that. I am from Southern California, so I am a Disney person as well. And I gasped because Beauty and the Beast is my favorite movie. So I'm so glad that was your answer. Thank you. So, and speaking of summer and fun things, a lot of times we're traveling during the summer. We're dreaming of where we'd want to travel to. So my final question for you on the podcast today, Jessica, is if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I love this question. We love to travel as a family. And one of our favorite places to go, we go every summer, is Colorado. I love the mountains in Colorado. I love the weather up there, the little small town, mountain towns. We like to hike and do outdoor activities. And so it's just a great place. We would love to buy a little mountain house and retire there someday. So it's a bucket list item. But yeah, love to live in Colorado.
That sounds so peaceful and so amazing. And I hope you get to go there this summer. So, Jessica, thank you so much for joining me today on Coordinated and sharing about yourself and your school. I truly appreciate any opportunity to connect with a fellow AP coordinator, even if it's virtually or podcastally or whatever that looks like. So thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Karli, for inviting me on. I love listening to Coordinated. It's one of my things that I do to start my week, hearing you and Derek and your antics back and forth and grabbing my one little nugget that I might be able to use that week. They're timely and it's awesome. So thank you for letting me be part of it today.
AP coordinators, thanks again for joining us. And be sure to join us next week as Derek and I will chat a little bit about a big topic, AP courses for majors and careers. Don't miss it. We'll talk with you then. And for all our support of AP students, yep, our support, AP coordinators, we are truly good as gold.
Just don't I'm good as gold.